Have you ever felt like you're wearing a mask, hiding your true self from the world? It's a paradox many of us grapple with. The more we try to fit in, the more disconnected we feel. In the next 25 minutes, we'll explore the depths of your psyche and help you understand this profound inner conflict that shapes every aspect of your life. Your relationships, your work, your sense of meaning, and your capacity for genuine connection. Life is full of moments that can leave us feeling isolated, even in a crowd. These aren't just passing feelings, they're signals from your psyche that something fundamental is out of alignment. Here are some signs that you might be struggling between your persona and your true self, patterns you've probably noticed but never fully understood. At work, you find yourself pretending to be someone you're not, laughing at jokes you don't find funny just to fit in with colleagues. You adjust your opinions in meetings, hold back your genuine thoughts, and present a version of yourself that feels safe but hollow. The professional mask you wear feels heavier each day, and you wonder how long you can sustain this performance. You've become skilled at reading the room, anticipating what's expected, delivering exactly what will earn approval. But with each performance, you feel more distant from yourself. In relationships, you may avoid discussing your true feelings to keep the peace, leading to a growing sense of resentment. You say yes when you mean no. You smile when you're hurting inside. You agree to plans that drain you because saying what you actually want feels too risky, too revealing, too vulnerable. The gulf between what you show and what you feel grows wider each day. Your relationships multiply while your sense of being truly known diminishes. You're surrounded by people, yet fundamentally alone, because no one sees the real you, mostly because you're not showing them. Social gatherings often leave you exhausted, and you realize you spent the entire time maintaining a facade. Every conversation requires careful calibration, monitoring your words, your expressions, your reactions. You're performing rather than participating. When you finally get home, the relief of dropping the mask is mixed with loneliness because no one saw the real you. You collapse not from physical exertion, but from the psychological effort of constant performance. Being on becomes so habitual, you struggle to remember what being off feels like. When making decisions, you often ask yourself what others would want rather than what you truly desire, leaving you feeling unfulfilled. Your choices reflect other people's values, expectations, and judgments rather than your own authentic preferences. You've become so skilled at reading the room that you've lost the ability to read yourself. Major life decisions, career paths, relationships, where to live, how to spend your time are made through the filter of external approval rather than internal alignment. You build a life that looks impressive from the outside while feeling hollow from the inside. In moments of solitude, you feel a mix of relief and guilt. Relief because you can finally be yourself, yet guilt because you fear that authenticity might cost you connection with others. You've created a life where being alone is the only time you can be real, and being with others requires constant performance. This split becomes exhausting, unsustainable, and deeply lonely. Solitude becomes refuge rather than choice, and you begin to wonder if genuine connection is even possible, or if everyone else is performing too. These experiences are more common than you might think. Modern culture actively encourages persona development. Social media rewards curated perfection. Workplaces reward strategic self-presentation, and many social contexts punish vulnerability while rewarding performance. Acknowledging these patterns is the first step toward understanding your inner world, reducing feelings of loneliness, and connecting more authentically with others. But understanding requires a framework, and Carl Jung provided exactly that through decades of clinical work and personal exploration. Carl Jung introduced concepts that help us navigate these internal conflicts with precision and depth. Let's break them down, moving beyond the superficial interpretations to understand what Jung actually meant and why these ideas remain profoundly relevant. The persona is the mask we wear in society. It's our public image, carefully crafted to meet social expectations and navigate the external world. Imagine a performer on stage, playing a role that everyone loves, receiving applause and recognition, yet feeling completely empty inside. The persona serves a crucial function. It allows us to participate in society, fulfill roles, meet expectations. The problem isn't having a persona. The problem is when the persona becomes who you think you are. Jung observed that modern life demands increasingly elaborate personas. Your professional persona, your family persona, your social media persona, each carefully constructed to elicit specific responses from others. You become skilled at reading what's expected and delivering it. So skilled, in fact, that you forget you're performing. The mask becomes the face. You lose track of where performance ends and authentic self begins. The persona develops early. As children, we learn which behaviors earn love and which earn rejection. We internalize those lessons, shaping ourselves to maximize acceptance and minimize abandonment. The compliant child, the helpful child, the achieving child, these are early personas that often persist into adulthood, long after they've stopped serving their original protective function. The shadow represents the parts of ourselves we suppress or deny. Think of it as the dark side of the moon, always present but hidden from view. Everything you've been taught is unacceptable gets relegated to the shadow. Your anger, your selfishness, your desires, your fears, anything that contradicts the persona gets pushed into darkness. But the shadow doesn't disappear. It influences you from the unconscious, shaping your reactions in ways you don't recognize. Jung emphasized that the shadow isn't purely negative. It contains not just what you reject as bad, but also what you've rejected as incompatible with your persona. If your persona is the nice person who never gets angry, your shadow contains your healthy aggression, your ability to set boundaries, your capacity to say no. The rational person who's always in control, your shadow contains your emotions, spontaneity, and vulnerability. Integrating the shadow means reclaiming these exiled parts of yourself. The shadow also contains unlived potential. Dreams you abandoned, talents you suppressed, aspects of yourself that didn't fit your life path. A successful lawyer may have a shadow artist. A dutiful parent may have a shadow adventurer. These aren't fantasies to dismiss. They're parts of yourself demanding acknowledgement. Projections occur when we attribute our own unacknowledged traits onto others. If you find yourself criticizing someone for being selfish, it might be a reflection of your own unexamined desires that you've deemed unacceptable. Projection is one of the psyche's most powerful mechanisms. What you can't face in yourself, you see in others. What irritates you most in other people often reveals what you've most thoroughly repressed in yourself. This is why Jung said that everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. The colleague whose ambition annoys you may be mirroring the ambition you've suppressed. The friend whose emotionality exhausts you may be reflecting the feelings you've learned to control. The family member whose neediness frustrates you may be showing you the needs you've learned to deny. Your reactions to others are a map to your shadow. Projection isn't random. You don't project onto everyone equally. You project onto people who carry a hint of what you've repressed. The projection magnifies something real, distorting it through the lens of your unacknowledged material. This is why your reactions are often disproportionate. The intensity reveals how much you've suppressed. Individuation is the process of integrating these parts of ourselves to become whole. It's about embracing both the persona and the shadow to discover your true self. Picture a puzzle coming together, each piece representing a part of you that's been separated, denied, or hidden. Individuation isn't about perfection, it's about wholeness. It's about consciously relating to all aspects of yourself rather than identifying with some and rejecting others. Jung saw individuation as the central task of the second half of life. The first half is spent building the persona, establishing yourself in the world, meeting social expectations. You create a stable identity, achieve external markers of success, prove yourself in various domains. The second half is spent questioning whether the life you've built actually belongs to you. Individuation is the journey from who am I supposed to be to who am I actually. This process isn't comfortable. It requires dismantling certainties you've built your life around. It means confronting parts of yourself you've spent years rejecting. It involves risking the approval you've worked so hard to earn. But Jung believed this discomfort is necessary, that wholeness requires integrating what you've split off, reclaiming what you've projected, and living from authentic self rather than adaptive persona. While popular interpretations often oversimplify these concepts, Jung's original ideas encourage us to look deeper. The persona is not inherently bad. It serves a crucial purpose. It's the interface between your inner world and external reality. However, when it overshadows your true self, when you become so identified with the mask that you forget there's a face underneath, you risk living inauthentically. You risk building a life that looks successful from the outside while feeling hollow from the inside. The goal isn't eliminating the persona. That's impossible and undesirable. The goal is conscious relationship with it, knowing when you're performing and why. Recognizing the difference between adaptive behavior and authentic expression. Maintaining connection to your true self even while wearing necessary masks. Understanding the dynamics of the persona can also illuminate our interactions with others in ways that transform relationships from battlegrounds into opportunities for growth and genuine connection. When someone is self-aware and authentic, it can provoke discomfort in those who are not ready to confront their own personas. This is why the seeing individual often irritates others. Your authenticity threatens their defenses. If you're honest about your struggles, it challenges their presentation of having everything together. If you speak uncomfortable truths, it disrupts their comfortable illusions. People who are heavily identified with their personas often react to authenticity with defensiveness, dismissiveness, or hostility, not because you've done anything wrong, but because your realness highlights their performance. This dynamic explains why honest people are often labeled as too much, too intense, or oversharing. The label isn't about objective behavior. It's about the discomfort triggered in those still heavily invested in their personas. Your willingness to be vulnerable threatens their need to appear invulnerable. Your admission of struggle threatens their presentation of having it all figured out. Reverse projections occur when we see someone who embodies traits we dislike, and it reflects our own shadow. For example, if you find yourself irritated by a colleague's ambition, consider what that ambition represents within you. Perhaps you've suppressed your own drive in service of appearing humble. Perhaps you've learned that wanting more is selfish. Perhaps you abandoned your own goals and seeing someone pursue theirs triggers regret. Your irritation isn't really about your colleague. It's about the part of yourself you've exiled. Jung discovered that we don't just project our shadow onto random people. We project it onto people who actually have a hint of that quality. The projection hooks onto something real, then magnifies it through our own unacknowledged material. This is why your reactions are disproportionate. The intensity of your reaction reveals how much you've repressed. A mild expression of confidence becomes unbearable arrogance when it triggers your suppressed self-worth. Normal emotional expression becomes overwhelming neediness when it activates your denied vulnerability. Imagine everyday scenarios that reveal these dynamics in action. A friend who constantly seeks validation may project their insecurities onto others, accusing them of being unsupportive. They can't acknowledge their own neediness, so they see others as withholding. The problem is always external. Others are withholding. People aren't giving enough, caring enough, recognizing enough. This protects them from facing their own bottomless need for approval. A partner who fears intimacy may criticize you for being too demanding when you simply want connection. They can't admit their own fear of closeness, so they make your desire for intimacy into a problem. You become clingy or needy when you're actually just expressing normal human needs for connection. Their criticism protects them from confronting their own terror of vulnerability. In a workplace, someone who suppresses their own creativity may dismiss innovative ideas as impractical, unrealistic, or threatening to stability. They're not actually evaluating the ideas, they're defending against their own unlived creative impulses. Each innovative suggestion from others reminds them of the creativity they abandoned. So they must prove such ideas are foolish to justify their own suppression. These dynamics can create tension in relationships, but they also offer profound opportunities for growth. When we recognize the projections, both our own and others, we can engage with people more compassionately, fostering deeper connections. We can ask, what is my reaction teaching me about myself? Rather than, how can I change this person? Recognition transforms conflict into self-knowledge. Instead of blaming others for how they make you feel, you can investigate what they're triggering in you. This doesn't mean tolerating bad behavior, it means understanding your reactions before responding. Someone can genuinely be behaving badly, and your disproportionate reaction can reveal your shadow. Both can be true. When you understand projection, you gain freedom. Others' projections onto you lose their power because you recognize them as reflections of their internal world rather than accurate assessments of you. Your own projections become less automatic as you catch yourself in the act, reclaiming the disowned parts of yourself rather than seeing them in others. To bridge the gap between your persona and true self, consider these practical steps that translate Jungian concepts into daily practice. These aren't theoretical exercises, they're concrete actions that gradually shift your relationship with yourself. Start with a projection journal. This is the most powerful tool for shadow work because it uses your daily irritations as material for self-discovery. Here's the detailed process. Identify a trigger. Recognize what bothers you about someone. Be specific. Don't just say, they're annoying. Name the trait that irritates you. Are they arrogant, needy, controlling, passive, self-centered, overly emotional? Get precise. Assign meaning to that trait. What does it signify for you? If arrogance bothers you, what does arrogance mean in your worldview? Perhaps it means someone who thinks they're better than others, someone who lacks humility, someone who's overconfident. Get clear on your interpretation, because your interpretation reveals your values and fears. Develop a reverse hypothesis. What part of you shares that trait? This is the crucial step where most people resist. I'm nothing like that person, but look deeper. If you're irritated by someone's neediness, where are you needy but unable to acknowledge it? If someone's confidence bothers you, where have you suppressed your own self-assurance? If their selfishness triggers you, where do you deny your own legitimate needs? The part you share may not look identical. You might not be openly arrogant, but perhaps you harbor secret feelings of superiority that you've never expressed. You might not be visibly needy, but perhaps you desperately want validation while pretending you don't care. The shadow isn't just the opposite of your persona, it's often the same energy expressed differently. Then take action and engage with that aspect of yourself positively. If you've discovered suppressed ambition, take one small step toward a goal you've been avoiding. If you found hidden neediness, admit to one person that you need something. If you've located unexpressed anger, allow yourself to feel it privately without judging it. If you've recognized denied creativity, spend 15 minutes on a creative project. These small actions begin integration. Practice meeting the shadow through safe visualization. This isn't mystical, it's practical psychology. Find a quiet space where you won't be interrupted. Close your eyes and imagine your shadow as a character, a figure that embodies what you've rejected. Don't force an image, let it emerge. What does your shadow look like? Some people see a dark figure. Others see a child or an animal. Some see a mythological creature or simply a presence. The image doesn't matter. What matters is the dialogue. This personification allows you to relate to rejected aspects of yourself rather than just thinking about them abstractly. Ask the integrative question, what does it want you to know? Listen without judging. Your shadow might say it's tired of being hidden. It might express anger about being rejected. It might reveal desires you've never acknowledged. It might show you strengths you've been too afraid to claim. Whatever emerges, receive it with curiosity rather than criticism. Within the next 24 hours, do something that honors this shadow aspect. If your shadow revealed suppressed playfulness, do something purely for fun. If it showed hidden anger, express a boundary. If it exposed vulnerability you've been hiding, share one authentic feeling with someone you trust. If it displayed creativity you've denied, create something. Small actions create integration. The shadow loses its power over you when you consciously include it. Setting boundaries is crucial for maintaining the distinction between persona and self. Personas often develop because boundaries were violated. You learned that being yourself wasn't safe, so you created a protective mask. Reclaiming yourself requires reclaiming your boundaries. Identify violations. Notice when your boundaries are crossed. This requires developing sensitivity to your own discomfort. When do you feel resentful? When do you feel invaded? When do you feel pressured? When do you say yes but feel no inside? These feelings signal boundary violations. Many people have become so disconnected from their boundaries they no longer feel them being crossed. They just experience vague exhaustion and resentment. Develop a default phrase, something simple you can use immediately. I need some time to think about. That doesn't work for me. I'm not available for that. Or simply, no, thank you. You don't need to explain or justify. Boundaries are statements, not negotiations. Practice saying these phrases until they feel natural, until you can deliver them calmly rather than defensively. Understand the consequences of boundary violations. When you don't protect your boundaries, resentment builds, energy depletes, and the gap between persona and self widens. You become increasingly inauthentic because you're constantly overriding your genuine responses to please others. When you do protect boundaries, some people may be disappointed or upset, but you preserve your integrity. Some relationships may change or end, revealing they were based on your compliance rather than genuine connection. Reconnect with yourself by reflecting on how you feel after asserting your needs. Notice the relief, the sense of self-respect, the reclamation of energy. This positive reinforcement strengthens your ability to maintain boundaries. Many people discover that setting boundaries actually improves their relationships. It replaces fake harmony with real respect. Create anti-loneliness rituals that allow you to be authentic without requiring performance. Dedicate time for solitude and self-reflection, free from distractions. This isn't isolation, it's intentional alone time where you can drop all masks and simply be. Schedule it like any other important appointment. Protect this time fiercely. Practice honest refusal. Say no to something you don't want to do. Start small. Decline an invitation that drains you. Skip a social obligation that feels inauthentic. Stop pretending to enjoy activities you actually hate. Each honest no creates space for an authentic yes. You can't say yes to what matters if you're saying yes to everything. Take a micro-initiative by reaching out to someone for a brief, genuine connection. Share something real, a thought, a feeling, a struggle. Test whether authentic connection is possible. Often, your willingness to be real invites others to do the same. You might discover that people prefer your authenticity to your performance, that vulnerability creates intimacy, rather than destroying it. These practices can help you integrate your persona and true self, fostering a more authentic existence. They're not one-time exercises, they're ongoing practices that gradually shift your relationship with yourself and others. Consistency matters more than intensity. Small daily actions compound into profound transformation. Throughout this exploration, we've examined how to recognize projections, embrace your shadow, set boundaries, and combat loneliness without self-betrayal. The importance of self-awareness, recognizing the persona, and taking practical steps to integrate your true self cannot be overstated. This work isn't comfortable. It requires confronting parts of yourself you've spent years avoiding. It means risking disapproval by being authentic. It demands examining your automatic reactions and asking what they reveal about you. It involves uncertainty because living from persona creates predictable responses, while living from self means discovering who you actually are. But the alternative, living entirely from persona, never knowing who you actually are, building a life that belongs to your mask rather than yourself, is far more painful in the long run. The suffering of authenticity is temporary discomfort. The suffering of inauthenticity is chronic emptiness. Imagine where you could be in 30 days. Without hyperbole, you might find yourself feeling more grounded, more authentic, and more connected to those around you. Not because you've perfected yourself, but because you've stopped pretending. Relationships may deepen as people respond to your authenticity. Work may feel more meaningful as you bring more of yourself to it. Decisions may become clearer because you're consulting your actual values rather than anticipated approval. Reflect on these questions. What aspects of your persona feel most distant from your true self? Which roles do you play that feel most draining, most inauthentic? Where is the gap between who you are and who you present yourself to be? What would you do differently if you weren't afraid of disapproval? How do you project your insecurities onto others? Who irritates you most consistently?
Traits in others trigger the strongest reactions in you. These aren't random. They're pointing directly at your shadow. Your most intense judgments reveal your most thoroughly denied parts. What small step can you take today to embrace your shadow? You don't need a dramatic transformation. You need one honest action, one boundary set, one projection acknowledged, one moment of authenticity, one small risk of being real. Now, take 5 minutes to start a projection journal. Write down a recent trigger, something that bothered you about someone in the last week. Explore its meaning. What does that trait represent to you? Then reverse it. Where do you share that trait, even in hidden or subtle forms? What is this irritation teaching you about yourself? This small action can set the stage for profound change, not because journaling is magic, but because conscious examination of unconscious patterns is the beginning of integration. What you make conscious, you can work with. What remains unconscious continues to control you. Jung spent his life exploring these territories of the psyche. His conclusion was simple but profound. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, not who you're supposed to be, not who would be most approved of, who you actually are. That journey begins when you stop living entirely from the persona and start consciously relating to it. When you acknowledge your shadow rather than projecting it. When you recognize that authenticity isn't comfortable, but it's real. And real is what your psyche has been demanding all along.